this week I have been watching some absolutely brilliant YouTube. I have been listening while I've been finishing off these bits and bobs, while I've been scouring my grimoire for spelling mistakes, and I've just gone with suggestions that were on my homepage, and then as I've clicked on things and watched things, it suggested other things to me. So I found a channel, I'm sure many of you are probably following it already, and it's called What Lurks Beneath, and it's about all sorts of mysterious things like Bigfoot, UFOs, those kind of things. I'm really enjoying these sorts of stories at the moment. I've reserved judgment on a lot of things, I've got opinions on other things, but it's just really interesting to hear these stories, whether they're real or not. But the episode I watched was called The Most Terrifying Interview I Have Ever Done. I'm not going to tell you what the thing or being or person was that this young guy with a group of friends bumped into, had an experience with, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it was a really fascinating interview, and the guy was a great storyteller. I was absolutely hooked. You know, once we got into the middle of it, I wanted to hear more. And the podcaster said that genuinely he felt really emotional listening to this story, and it took him through a whole range of emotions. And I felt the same way. And the guy telling the story about his experience, he's recounting this experience from when he was a young boy, in his sort of early teens, I believe. And he was sweating. I mean, I don't know what the weather was like where he was in the United States, but he was sweating. It was really emotional for him. And as time went on, you could see that he was just absolutely drenched. And he tells us all about the fallout from this experience, what happened when he told his parents, told his dad, and there was other information there. The story was bigger than his experience. So that was really good. I really recommend that. I'll put the details down below. I've also been listening to Next Level Soul Podcast, which is another really lovely channel, people being interviewed, and I listened to 2 interviews with 2 mediums, so Suzanne Geisman and Nikki Allen. So Suzanne is American, Nikki Allen is British. I was only kind of like loosely aware of both of them, but it was really interesting to hear these ladies speak, and they both carry the message that we are never ever alone. Spirit is all around us, and we only have to reach out. They're there, they're watching, they're looking after us. And I thought that was really lovely and uplifting, and yeah, really enjoyed listening to them talk, actually, very uplifting. I was then suggested a video on a channel called Capturing Christianity, and the video I watched was Interview with a Real Life Exorcist. So the person being interviewed was called Friar Vince Lampert. He is an American Catholic priest, and he is a real life exorcist. The video sort of does as it suggests on the tin. And it was really interesting listening to him. I felt that I believed what he was saying. I'm not really sure how I feel. I don't believe in the devil. In terms of evil spirits, well, I guess everything is energy, isn't it? So I think that's entirely possible. We certainly meet some very evil people that you think, well, it can't just be upbringing, it must be something in them which is sort of inherently bad. So I suppose we have evil energy that way, we have evil people that then pass over. But I'm not sure how I feel about the whole exorcism thing, but I found it a really interesting video. I think if I was having those sorts of issues, then I might go to a church, I might go to people that are well used to dealing with this sort of stuff. But as the video went on, we're listening to how there can be an entry for demonic possession. So that would be things like turning your back on God. It would be things like celebrating certain aspects of Halloween. using tarot cards, things like that. And then there were some questions at the end, and that just completely kind of like derailed it for me. Apparently demonic possession is worse for what the priest called apostates. So people that have heard the good news of God, you know, they've been religious and then they have turned their back on their religion, on God. Apparently demonic possession is worse for them than perhaps someone like me, someone who's pagan, who's never believed in God. Apparently the devil gets more wound up by the former rather than the latter, so that's who he will go for. But somebody asked the question, they said, so I listen to music that could be described as having a satanic theme. I don't believe in the devil, I don't believe in any of that. Why have I never been possessed? Because, you know, I am doing all the things that you say creates an opening, an entry for a demonic possession or a demonic oppression. And it made me laugh, because the priest said, well, the devil won't bother with you if you don't believe in him. He wants to get to the people that believe in God. And then someone else asked the question, so to avoid demons then you just need to be an atheist, which was a really simple, well put, profound question, which is right. If you don't believe in and you know, obviously, you know, if you believe in something, then you're much more likely to manifest it and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like curses, believing in that, you know, I don't believe in curses. So I doubt even if anyone tried to curse me, it would have any effect. There's also more to that, of course, and that's a whole nother topic for another day. But yeah, if you don't believe in demons, then they're not going to bother you. And the way the priest dealt with that was he laughed, and he laughed quite a bit, and then he just said, well, yes, you'll be safe in this life. So, I mean, there's that sort of ever-present threat, isn't there, that, you know, if you don't do this and you don't do this and you don't do this, then this will happen. And then when someone comes up with a very good question, you know, well, you know, a loophole almost, then it's almost like, you know, you get laughed at, and then there is ultimately, you know, you're still going to be in trouble. You're still going to be in trouble. Also, it's really weird because apparently you cannot be possessed under the age of, it's either seven or 8, because they have this like age of reason thing, and they consider that you're protected by the church. The church will protect you up to a certain age, and then once you've reached that age, then you're on your own. So I'm not meaning to be offensive when I talk about this. I know there are Christian witches. I know there'll be people that are watching that believe this stuff, and that's absolutely fine. I just personally don't believe that. I don't know. I mean, there are some interesting cases out there. There are some cases with evidence. But one thing's for sure, that even if it does happen, it is extremely rare. So very, very interesting set of videos. And I have to say that the Christian video, and I've since seen another one, I just thought I'd watch the one interviewing the psychiatrist, because I was very happy to hear that the church makes sure that they truly believe there is a possession before they take a person through a series of exorcisms. They absolutely rule out mental health problems. So I was really, really pleased by that. I'm really, really heartened by that I wanted to watch a psychiatrist's point of view. They do get involved, and then only when they've ruled absolutely everything out will they allow these exorcisms to go ahead. But I will say that out of these videos that I watched, if we don't include the cryptozoology one, if we just look at the 2 mediums and the 2 people dealing with exorcists, I mean, obviously the exorcisms are a darker sort of subject matter, but they were just so much darker, whereas the message from the mediums is that, you know, life is about love. It's about the light that's within us all, that we're always surrounded by spirit, that there are always people loving us, holding us and looking out for us. And very much with the videos, with the exorcism stuff, they were very dark, of course, but also there was just that, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't be your own person, you must follow this, you must follow that. And I don't know, I just find it very weird that we'd have a God who would create something that's so dark and evil. And I don't believe in the devil, so there we go. Obviously, the next episodes of the Witching Week, if I start acting weirdly, then obviously everything I said is a load of rubbish. I'm joking. So yeah, very, very interesting viewing. That will probably be it for me now on the darker stuff. I don't tend to watch things that are dark. I don't mind mysterious things, so like the cryptozoology stuff, Bigfoot, you know, but I don't really tend to watch stuff that's very dark. I do avoid that stuff. I do think it's important to avoid that stuff. And that's funny because I'm sure those two men, and they were both religious, so the psychiatrist was very religious as well, I'm sure they would have a view on me being a witch. And yet the irony is that, you know, I don't meddle in anything dark whatsoever. That is not my cup of tea. It's not generally what witches do. I know there are some out there that do, but yeah, generally we're about nature, we're about healing, we're about self-responsibility, development, you know, all those wonderful things that witchcraft brings us.